started doing this recently. Um, I click on what I want, and then I exit out and save it, and then I go to my tracks, and they don't work together. So I have to go through that one time to get whatever glitches out, and then I have to make a new group setting, do that again, and then it'll work. So the first one is like I just got to do it to get to make
That's
it work.
so stupid. You think it's just because your computer's so old?
No, this stuff has done it since day one, and my computer performs the same as day one.
You still have that same MacBook Pro as
Yeah.
What was that, like a 2009 model though?
A late 2011.
Oh, 2011. Okay.
Yeah, and I have another glitch in there that it's the same thing that it's always done, and I'm so used to it at this point I don't even remember what it is, but it's something that like I just got to do it and then okay, try again.
Bro, you have the weirdest problems.
Yeah, and AirDrop, I've still never gotten AirDrop to work on my phone with my laptop on the same. Remember we were messing with it on your porch? It's like we're on the internet, the Apple guy of the whole Southeast region, and it's still not working. It just doesn't. And then
AirDrop's one of those things that works for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, people AirDrop stuff to strangers in movie theaters, and like I can't. It just doesn't work for me. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
I don't know, man. Sorry, we can't fix it. Folks will just have to deal with the Louisiana flag in the background.
Yeah. Oh, and that malware bites helped me.
Yeah, told you.
Yeah. No more restarting. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so we're making some progress.
Yeah.
So what's up, man? What's been up over there? Fires?
Yeah, those fires up there.
Yeah. Whole state on fire. Yeah, we got hurricanes just pummeling the south constantly. Got the whole west coast on fire.
Y'all have storms right now?
Well, we have another hurricane coming through today. I mean, we don't, but it's hitting New Orleans basically dead on or real close to it. So
Lake Charles got fucked.
Lake Charles is destroyed. So my house got a little roof damage from Delta on this last one. I'm not much. I'm just missing like 30 shingles. And so I was talking to a contractor that's gonna fix it up for me, and he's also working at Lake Charles, and he said, "Dude, you just haven't seen anything like it. It's just absolute destruction. Like everything over there is just destroyed."
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in bad shape right now.
That's what Aaron was telling me. They're doing a lot of work there, and in Baton Rouge, he said Lake Charles. He said in this little strip mall, it's like. There might be 10 stores, and 6 or 7 of them are totally wiped out everywhere, all over. Like no,
man.
No exceptions.
It's crazy. There's some folks in like Calcasieu Parish that I think they were saying are not going to get power until like mid-November. I mean, think about that. It's been like over a month that these people have been without power.
Wow.
It's fucking insane. But yeah, so world's on fire, and hurricanes killing the South, and elections next week. So,
yeah, I think it's all going to go away after the elections. At least coronavirus.
I don't know about the weather. I think we're fucked as far as the fires and the hurricanes go. But yeah, maybe maybe all the political shit around coronavirus and everything.
What do you think happens with the election?
I have no fucking idea. I have no idea.
You think it's going to be bad either way?
Yeah, I just think people have just completely lost their minds to the point now where there's no turning back. And they're so far to the right and so far to the left that you just can't. I mean, I was just walking through the fucking living room just now. I don't know who the fuck it was. Some comedian or something on TV was just fucking ranting about like, hey, make sure you get out and get your early voting done now because the Republicans are going to pull some shit. It's like, bro, like, you probably just alienated like 45% of 40 to 50% of your audience right there, just making a statement like that. Like, are we ever going to get to a point where like you can maybe appeal to the other side instead of calling them fucking idiots? And it goes the other way too. Like Republicans do the same shit to the Democrats. It's like it's just too fucking far gone. So, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. The country's going to burn down, or shit'll just be the same like it is right now. And we'll realize that this was all fucking fake anyway, and go outside, breathe a breath of fresh air, and wait for the next hurricane to hit you, and go about your fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
That's all real.
I was laughing yesterday because something with the vaccine. Fuck. I always forget shit. I was just imagining a household of Democrats in a gentrified section of Denver getting. Oh, that's what it was. I saw a promo that Santa Clauses, people that are going to be Santa Claus,
Mm-hmm.
they'll get the free vaccine if they promote the vaccine. They're going to be using like Santa Clauses to promote the
That's
vaccine.
the first motherfuckers they want to kill. They're like, who cares about those fucking guys? Yeah, they're dumb enough to do it. They're fucking dressing up in a Santa suit every winter anyway, and letting them.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys.
Dude, being Santa in the mall is not a full-time job. So like, why?
Well, it is.
Why take it?
It makes me think of Bad Santa when I think of those guys now. Every time I see one, probably just getting hammered after they fucking deal with all those kids sitting on their lap.
What's the name of that actor?
Oh, I don't
Billy Bob
remember.
Thornton?
Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah.
That's his real name, huh? Okay.
I
But I was just imagining like some people getting the vaccine for their family members for Christmas. Like you open the envelope and you're like, oh, it's some money. It's like a free vaccine from I don't know where. And like a whole family, they can finally hug each other and they're all crying because they haven't hugged in like 8 months. Like we got the vaccine. Big group hug on Christmas. Oh my God.
mean, I wonder what's going to happen with that. Like, is there going to be mandatory vaccines? Because
fuck, man.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about injecting something that hasn't had any type of long-term research done on it. That's what scares me. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, we do need to do something, but fuck, man. Like, let's make sure it's safe.
Yeah, I was just reading a Whitney.
Shooting up with it.
I was reading a Whitney Webb article where she kind of fact-checked an NPR article that was talking about Operation Warp Speed, where the government is making the vaccine through Pfizer and a couple other big corporations. Johnson & Johnson is involved. And what NPR wasn't talking about was Johnson & Johnson's track record of knowing they had asbestos in their product and selling it anyway back in the 80s. And the government is bypassing the standard way of speeding up vaccines by using whatever government faction, and they're using something else. And I don't remember the names. It's kind of complicated, but the gist is they're bypassing the way they normally do it, and they're going with these private contractors that are not subject to accountability if anything goes wrong. And
this is not setting us up a fucking disaster.
Exactly. And they're using major companies that are known to have bad
participated in fuckery in the past.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really fucked up. And it's crazy because I shared it with a buddy and they like just didn't buy it. They started saying like podcasts or people can just say whatever they want, these independent journalists, blah, blah, blah. And then they were fact checking with PolitiFact. And I was like, oof, okay.
Yeah, you're right. People can just say whatever the fuck they want, right?
They definitely can, but it's just somebody that doesn't listen to independent people and gets their stuff from mainstream sources, and then you're like, they're reading something cryptic like this from an independent journalist who gets censored on mainstream, and then they side with the mainstream, and then they use like PolitiFact or Snopes to fact check it, and it's just it's a crazy, really twisted world.
We'll get into the subject of today's stuff. Just touch on this one last thing. Have you followed up like any of that articles of Unity stuff with like Brett Weinstein and like them pulling those accounts off Twitter and stuff? Well, I might have mentioned it in the last one, and I had just briefly looked into it. I listened to a podcast with Eric Weinstein, and he was talking a little bit more about it. So I was able to get a little bit more informed. So apparently Brett Weinstein and a few other folks were, making some social media accounts to try and promote this platform where they get one Republican and one Democrat to run on a ticket together. And they were calling it Articles of Unity or whatever. Seems like a pretty straightforward idea. Hey, let's stop throwing shit at each other and come together as a team and work together to bring this country back together. Well, for no reason at all, no explanation, no reason at all, both Twitter and Facebook banned the accounts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's been a big purge.
For no reason at all. This account had not posted any fake news articles. They hadn't, they weren't calling for violence of any sort. They're simply trying to create a ticket where a Republican and a Democrat were going together and promote that type of conversation, and it gets banned. It's just like, what the fuck are they trying to do, man? Like,
yeah, and what's even more sad is the people that support that, because they buy the propaganda that they must be propagating hate speech just because they.
I'm sorry to cut you off. The reason I bring that up, because you talk about your friend who just immediately shut you down when you talk about the independent journalist that you're getting some of your information from. It's like, well, you are being literally force-fed bullshit from all these sources, whether it's the social media companies or media, and just taking that one side of the message. And man, it's you're not getting the full picture.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like I mentioned how Biden and Kamala Harris's criminal record with the crime bill. Biden did that crime bill in '94, and how it's not going to be good if they get in office because they're going to vote for Biden, this person. And I was shown a graph that showed that after that bill, incarcerations went down. I mean, they kept going up, but they went down. And that whole bill was about a 3-strike law, apparently, for violent offenders. So you get 3 chances with violence until they actually do something about it. And I was thinking about it, I was like, so this person is basically denying the corrupt history of Biden based off of this government chart that shows incarcerations went down. But that's only because he made violence more acceptable in the court. It has nothing to do with the war on drugs.
Right.
So it was just a good example of a
skewed perspective.
Yeah. Like a half-truth.
Yeah.
Just a half-truth. And I went to PolitiFact and I looked up WikiLeaks just to see what this PolitiFact was about. And it was peppered with conspiracy theories, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theorist. Seth Rich was murdered. It was a botched robbery. And it was like, it's not a botched robbery. It was like a half-truth, and it totally deflects away from the seriousness of that situation. Because if you're reading this for your information, you're like, oh yeah, it was a robbery and stuff. But his wallet, his jewelry, his money, everything was left, so he wasn't robbed.
Yeah.
He was just shot in broad daylight after being the one to allegedly release the WikiLeaks to the person who published. Like, he's the guy that got it, and I think Snowden or Assange or whoever it was released it. But it's like, if you go look at PolitiFact, these fact-checking sites, they don't give you the whole truth like that. They deflect with. And Social Dilemma, did you watch that documentary?
Yes.
You watched it? It was really interesting.
I told you about it.
Yeah, so I went, okay, you did. So you remember that part later in the movie after they're talking about how much of an impact social media has on the human mind, and then they go into the current events? That lady came on and started talking about the algorithm supports misinformation and lies and conspiracy theories like coronavirus, and they show these idiots like, this shit's a fucking hoax, man. And then they show anti-vaccine, and then they show something else, chemtrails, and they lumped all these things happening right now up into this bullshit conspiracy thing, and look how the algorithm does with that to make people crazy. And then I predicted it watching. I was like, they're going to talk about Russia. They're going to bring up Russia, and they're going to make it look good. And then came Russia, and they started reinforcing the Russiagate conspiracy. So in that movie, it was littered with propaganda, the way they lumped up all these modern things happening.
Yeah.
Deflected against the important ones by calling it bullshit and conspiracy theories, after getting you so hyped up about how social media impacts you.
Yeah.
And then after that, they bring up the Russia thing and reinforce it as truth because social media is so powerful. Putin did buy Facebook ads that swayed our election, which is such horseshit. You can't ever prove that in a court of law that ads on Facebook swayed votes. How can you track the people that saw the ad, prove what they were going to vote before they saw the ad, and then say, look how they voted after? It's a totally inductive argument where you just argue the possibility of something. It's not deductive at all.
Yeah.
It's inductive.
Like,
And
yeah, that's a good point. Like, how are they
you can't.
How are they calculating, you know,
You can't.
what votes were influenced by the activity that was conducted on Facebook?
Yeah, they just reinforced it because after an hour of showing you how social media has an impact, then it must have really worked with Russia. But they didn't say it must have. They said it did. They affected our democracy. And then before that, they were just shitting all over the COVID conspiracy.
I thought it was a good movie.
It was good, but that little thing.
Yeah, you're right.
They
Like,
slipped
I
that
agree with you.
propaganda in there.
And I remember that part of it.
Like you can't get away from mainstream outlets having to put narratives. You can't really speak of free narrative. Because
gonna have that's why I find a healthy approach is to, anytime I get some fact or some opinion, I look for the opposing view on that fact or opinion. And so I just try to read from multiple sources. Don't take all your information from one place and take it as fact. Mm-hmm. I'm always trying to look at the other side or the other side of the story, the other argument. So that's the way I'm just going to keep approaching things, you know, just be a skeptic about the information that I'm given and always try to verify by doing my own research from opposing sources.
Mm-hmm. So if everybody does that, it's a healthier world. It's not like you have to be right. You just have to, because you look at the right side and you'll find this, and you look at the left side and you find the total opposite. And then you see a pattern over time that this is how the news is. So then you can check out and realize there's more behind the scenes.
Yes.
And then you'll be called a conspiracy theorist by people who are just following one side. All because you're like, no, something's going on. That's all it takes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's now such a dirty word, or like anytime you have any opposing view.
It was the CIA.
They really weaponized that, you know, especially it feels nowadays like you get labeled a conspiracy theorist like anytime you have any opposing opinion, whether it's about coronavirus, whether it's about like Russiagate or the Biden scandals in Ukraine or anything that goes against the mainstream narrative, like you get labeled conspiracy theorist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just speaking of that purge of censoring everybody, you know, a lot of YouTube channels got deleted recently that are just talking about coronavirus or really not talking about much, and they just straight up got deleted, like a huge purge censorship happening right now before the election. And I noticed this really strange thing. There's a lawsuit being filed against, and I saved the screenshots here. I could probably email these to myself and then screen share them with you.
Yeah, if you had an up-to-date Mac, you could just airdrop the shit.
I guess so.
How you like my callback, huh? That was good.
It was good. It was good. But, you know, it should work. It should work. And there was just something really interesting there because you told me to download malware bytes.
Yeah, I did.
So
to get the adware off your stuff.
Yeah, yes. So I should have did this before. I have a lot of screenshots that I saved.
Good. I did all the screen sharing last time. It's your turn.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll on this one.
Good.
Let me blow this up. Of course, it's going to be really blurry. Oh, god damn it.
Just click open with preview.
Okay.
Preview.
That'd be funny if preview wasn't here. It's like, god damn it, another glitch. Just for for whatever reason, it's not here. So on October 26, 2020, this is the Armenta and Sol APC document. They're filing this thing.
Gotcha.
15 YouTube content creators filed a federal lawsuit against Google and YouTube, alleging in 17 claims for relief that Google and YouTube breached the terms of service and violated their First Amendment rights when they summarily deplatformed the plaintiffs' channels and removed their content from YouTube without advance notice. The plaintiffs are the creators of YouTube channels, including Just Informed Talk, they name a lot of them. Edge of Wonder, which I've seen a couple. They're weird videos. They definitely are, like, in my opinion, Edge of Wonder is the epitome of the wacky YouTube conspiracy videos, but it's not dangerous. They're just talking about stuff.
Right.
Okay, so 800 million views together, more YouTube subscribers than many legacy news channels such as C-SPAN, New York Times, and NBC News. So they're basically saying that these are big news outlets, and you can't do this. Next page. I think this is where it gets interesting. So YouTube, Google are expected to defend the case and claim that Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act provides them immunity for the actions they took against conservative commentators 19 days before the November 3rd presidential election. However, the Ninth Circuit has recently issued an opinion retreating from the broad interpretation of the immunity that social media has used for years to defend lawsuits from its contract partners and users. So that's interesting because these big websites are editing and curating, so it makes them technically a news company, but they use their platform as a private company to stay immune to lawsuits.
So they're fucking playing both sides.
Exactly. That's the big problem here. So Section 230 immunities were provided by Congress as a means to give internet providers an ability to remove content that was considered obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable. None of those channels are any of those things.
But also, like, I don't know, that could be a very wide definition for a number of those things.
You know what's lewd and violent and harassing is mainstream news channels selling us pharmaceutical drugs.
Exactly. That is lewd.
Yeah, it's the fear mongering of coronavirus.
Harassing as well.
Yeah, and dividing the country by sparking race wars. You know, that's the big legacy media that does that. Yeah,
that's allowed.
So here's where
this guy over here talking about flat Earth and the fucking frozen wall.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you wonder if they're deleting flat earthers and censoring that, why? Is there something to it? Like, what is it? What about it is it?
No, it gives it more credibility that you are censoring it. Like, you know, you're just making people think. You're making the people that are like really conspiracy theorists like, oh my god, like they don't want the truth getting out. Like, no, they're.
Yeah, exactly.
We're now on that slippery slope that we're sliding down very fast.
Yeah. So then the next sentence. Let me start with the Section 230 immunities were provided by Congress as a means to give internet providers an ability to remove content that was considered obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable. Enigma Software Group USA LLC v. Malwarebytes Inc. number 1717351 opinion filed September 12th, 2019. That's what they said. So what the fuck is Malwarebytes having to do with this lawsuit of the censorship? And why are they
Who owns Malwarebytes?
I was just so surprised to see malware. Yeah, dude. And at the same time, you give them access to your computer. So I wonder if on the front they're acting like, you know, they're curing the malware, but then on the back end they have constant access.
Marcin Klechinsky is the CEO of Malwarebytes.
Marcin Klechinsky.
Marcin Klechinsky.
Interesting. Yes. We're working every day to protect people from misinformation and help them find authoritative information. We appreciate your partnership and will continue to consult with members of Congress as we address. That's the YouTube chief executive girl saying this. Evolving issues around COVID-19. YouTube chief executive officer Suzanne Wojcicki responded by tweet. To consult with Congress 19. It's so weird that YouTube can pick and choose what's correct and not because they're working with Congress.
And I wonder who they're giving the money to in Congress, because I bet they have lobbyists that they fucking funneling millions of dollars to fund these campaigns, and they have just they have Congress wrapped around their finger, basically, or some members of Congress.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking crazy, man.
Well, it's wild, yeah. But there's a lawsuit, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Other than that, I'm excited about today's episode.
Yeah, so
What-
today's episode should be good.
We'll be talking
I
about
think that,
Halloween, Day of the Dead.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Day of the Dead.
Happy Halloween.
I think our previous episodes, I mean, if you've watched the last several episodes, we spent a lot of time talking about the Great Year, and how ancient cultures all throughout the world used the Great Year to map our cosmic rhythm, right? And basically our interaction with the cosmos via comet and asteroid impacts as they built monuments to observe these things. And
Here's the Great Year.
That's the Great Year right
As
there.
you can see, the axis of the Earth wobbles every 25,920, and it will point at the zodiacs. This line is going to Leo because I was looking up some stuff on Katy Perry, but we'll save that for another episode.
We're going to go deep with Katy Perry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I reason I just bring this up, like what we talked about last episode, is because I think it sets us up nicely for the subject of today's episode, which, like we were talking about, is Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about, man, I thought about getting in my kettlebell killer gear and doing the whole episode as the kettlebell killer.
Oh, we forgot to dress up.
But I
totally forgot.
Yeah, but I left all my gear at Jarek's house last night after the stream, so I fucked that one up. Sorry, I was gonna surprise you with it, and you'd be like, "What the fuck?" But I dropped the ball there. Sorry, man.
I didn't know that you dressed up as some crazy character for the kettlebell killer.
Yeah, I dress up in full Golgothan gear, basically.
Oh, okay.
Stage.
Oh, frick, man, we missed out.
And I play a character. Yeah.
There's always next year.
Yeah, always next year. But so yeah, end of October's here. The end of October and early November have always been super dense with symbolical significance and surprising number of traditions.
Yes.
That were inherited from some of the former times. If in modern times, I mean, it seems like it's devoid of a lot of meaning for kids and adults. We just use it as an excuse to get dressed up, eat candy, and get drunk. We don't really always observe the significance of this time of the year. But it's something that goes back a very long time.
And you know why?
Why is that?
Because we were never taught about the sky clock. We weren't taught about astronomy and the zodiac and how events on Earth sometimes line up with the rising and falling of certain constellations or stars, at least for the ancients. We were taught a half truth about our reality.
Yeah, we're never really taught to look up and pay attention to what's going on up there as much as we should.
I know I'm screen sharing my notes, but
yeah,
Halloween's basically, it's a Celtic festival. There's 4 Celtic festivals. And I looked into them. The third one, Beltane, is the one where I really went off the rails. We'll have to save that one for another episode. But there's Samhain.
Samhain.
Oh, Samhain?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually the Halloween.
Samhain, I think.
Gaelic festival marked the end of the harvest and the beginning of the dark half of the year. This was interesting to me, was the dark half of the year, or winter. The light half of the year is marked as May 1st, the dark half, October 31st and November 1st, because the day began at the sunset the evening before. So the year was seen as the beginning of darkness.
And that's about halfway between, in that at that point, we're about halfway between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice.
Yeah,
So
half.
there is,
Yeah, those four Celtic festivals. What are they? Someone Imbolc held on February 1st to mark the beginning of spring, halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. And then Beltane is the Gaelic May Day festival, May 1st, halfway between the spring equinox, March 20th, and the summer solstice. And then the fourth one, I don't even. Oh, Lughnasadh. Lughnasadh. Lughnasadh.
yeah, I think you said that right.
Lughnasadh. Traditionally held on August 1st, halfway between the summer solstice and the autumn equinox. They had ritual athletics, feasting and trading, and the sacrifice of a bull, which the bull is pretty important with Halloween. We'll
Yeah,
get to that.
super important.
The festival, Samhain, back to Samhain, which is Halloween, October 31st to November 1st. Long traditions still among the Gaels, like in Oichi Shamna or Samhain Eve, and Oichi Shamna, like with the Scots. Yeah, there's 3 days as well, 31st, November 1st, and November 2nd. See, we got it.
In the Christianized aspect, we have the Hollow Mass Triduum, right? That consists of All Hallows Eve, which is October 31st, All Saints Day,
Yeah.
November 1st, and All Souls Day, November 2nd.
Yeah, and it is believed that the first day commemorates, what is it? The first day commemorates the destruction. The second day commemorates the survivors, and the third day commemorates those who repopulated the world. So
yes, it turns out that there is way more history to this ancient tradition than we normally think about during this time of the year. So, Dylan and I are basing this conversation based off of an article from the great Randall Carlson on his Sacred Geometry International website, Cosmic Lessons Day of the Dead. So, if anyone wants to dig further into that, he does the best job. I mean, we just have conversations around it. He's the true scholar around this stuff. So definitely go to him if you want to get the true facts around this, because we're going to flub some things. We just find this shit super interesting and want to have conversation about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of getting back to that article, we had this guy, Robert Grant Halliburton, who was a 19th century Canadian author. He was an anthropologist, and he was the founder of the Nova Scotian Institute of Natural Science. And he was an active member of learned societies on both the North American and European continents. Mm-hmm. He had wrote and published numerous papers on science, and he's best known for his discovery of an unknown tribe of pygmies living in the Atlas region of northwestern Africa. So he's a legit guy. For a period of time, he was most popularly known for a lengthy paper he authored in 1868 entitled Festival of the Dead.
Yep, Festival of the Dead. So I guess he's where Randall Carlson got his stuff.
Start. He's got his idea of he started to piece the significance of this time period of the year with the cosmos from this gentleman. So in 1859, Halliburton was visiting England and decided to prepare a paper to present before the Society of how do you say that word?
Antiquity? Antiquarian?
Antiquaries of London.
Oh, antiquaries.
He chose the subject for his paper to be the customs connected with All Souls Day. And after spending some time doing the research, he came to a realization. And as he put it, and this is a quote, the coincidences in the observance of this festival by different nations were much more striking than he had supposed. He spent the next 9 years investigating the origins of various festivals and customs from around the world that are associated with the dates around late October to November 2nd. So he described his realization in the introduction of Festival of the Dead. And I quote, "A new and most startling fact was discovered. when I came to read over the paper I had prepared. It was singular that the Festival of the Dead amongst the ancient Peruvians was celebrated on the same day as by the Spaniards, viz. On All Saints' Day, November 2nd. I
Yeah,
have also
sorry, I just want to cut you off because I have some info
good.
there. The Peruvians celebrated it. It's called Dia de los Difuntos, November 1st and 2nd of every year. And the month of November in Peru means the month of carrying corpses.
All these, yeah, you have always this association with death.
Yeah. Either death or a constellation Pleiades, the month of
yes,
the
we're
month
getting
of
to that.
yeah. I actually want to back up a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Just back to the little breakdown of the Celts. But they keep the birthdays, and let me see how it was written. They keep birthdays, months, holidays, so that the day follows the night. So there's this tradition, I guess that's where Eve comes from. The eve of a holiday is the night before the day. And that's
So they start their measure of that celebration or that time on the night before, is what you're saying?
yeah. And it also happens that I feel like there's something I can't wrap my head around with that, because their whole year is that same way. Their year is the beginning of winter, of darkness. That's when their year begins, basically.
Their January would basically be our November 1st.
Yeah, something like that. But I just find that weird. But I found out something really weird. This was the long period called night, like fortnight, meaning 2 weeks, and also sin night, which is obsolete now, meaning 1 week. So the night was actually their prominent, I don't know, measuring point. That doesn't make sense. Not measuring point, but for us, the night is secondary. It comes next, but for them, it's the beginning.
Right, we skip it. We sleep through it.
Yeah, exactly. Very strange.
We skip it.
So this was the tradition among insular Celts, which is Britain, Ireland, and Brittany. And Breton, you recognize Breton from Skyrim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I always find it fascinating how these video games are actually pretty accurate with super ancient myths and histories that we weren't taught about. Like Skyrim, fucking what game was it? Destiny 2 has a lot of really old stuff, like the names of the planets and I don't know, but fucking
yeah. I mean, a lot of these video games follow the hero's tale, and that all comes from these ancient traditions that pass down over time. And
yeah, and I always thought these video games just made shit up because it was interesting and they liked comic books, but they're actually coming from a super in-depth historical whatever perspective from it. And Assassin's Creed, the one where it's in Egypt and is supposed to be the history of it, but they still call the pyramids tombs. In the game, they call the pyramids tombs and stuff. I mean, they go pretty deep, but I thought that was kind of propagandist. Breton is a surviving Celtic language still spoken. This is where it gets interesting. The continental Celtic languages, Celtiberian, Gaulish, Galatian, and Lepontic, are now extinct. Galatian was widely spoken in Anatolia, which is part of modern-day Turkey, 3rd century BC up to 4th century AD, maybe even 6th century AD. There are no recorded texts of the Galatian language particularly. Interesting, this is just my thought, it's interesting that a book in the Bible, the Galatians,
I was about to bring that up,
is actually Celtic.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, don't we have a book of the Bible named Galatians?
Isn't that weird? I didn't think Celtic and all that had anything to do with Bible. I thought it was all Middle East, Mesopotamia, Syria, Jewland. Fucking what's the country they're from? Israel.
Israel.
Jordan, Israel.
Jordan. Yeah.
So it was the Apostle Paul who wrote his epistle to the Galatians around AD 48-55. Dude, that's not that long ago. The Apostle Paul writing to the Galatians, like they were around right then. I didn't know this. It was written in Greek. So the culture of the Galatians was melding into this post-Roman era or post-Greek era, whatever. But it was that the Galatians were blending into that culture. So it supposes that the bilingual in Greek at that time. And scholars are divided between if Paul was writing to the Greek Galatians or the Hellenized descendants of the Celtic Galatians. Whatever that's worth. So in the second century AD, a physician by the name of Galen of Pergamon complained that the Greek language was being corrupted by form of Galatian, seeping in and altering the language, borrowed words and whatnot, like changing slang and this and that. So they seem to be blending into the culture. Maybe this is my speculation, maybe a part of the Roman rule to wipe out older religions and cultures to pave the way for the new world they had in mind. Because you see that a lot. And obviously the Celtic religion of Samhain with Halloween was a lot closer to the truth about what happened at this time than what we're taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. And it's so obvious, like, when you start to put the pieces together, like, oh, this is obviously talking about a cosmic, like, this was obviously a tradition related to a cosmic event.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. I know we're jumping the gun.
And I wanted to screen share these two things that kind of tag back to our last episode only because it's kind of relevant. This here picture of the ecliptic and the celestial equator.
Yes.
Because our equator, for the viewers, we are looking at a picture now, but I will explain it. The equator, the Earth is tilted. So the equator is tilted if you were to draw it. What is flat is the ecliptic, is what it's called, the actual plane the Earth goes around the sun. So if you imagine this sphere around the Earth, this looks like the equator, but the Earth is traveling flat on the ecliptic around the sun. So there's those two lines, and they are relevant because the equinox is when the plane of the equator passes through the center of the sun twice a year around March, vernal spring equinox 20th, and September 23rd. So I think what happens is the equator, as you're going around the ecliptic, at some point the sun is going to pass the equator into the southern region, and then when you come back, it's going to be moving up into the northern region. So that motion of the sun crossing in the celestial equator as it's traveling the ecliptic marks the equinox and the times when they had these holidays. The solstice is when the sun reaches its point, plane of the equator passes through the center of the sun. So the solstice is when the sun reaches its point at the highest, either north or south of the equator, which is what I was just talking about. So be way up here and way down there.
Yeah.
And it's June 21st and December 21st are those points of the year when the sun, in the summer, it's the furthest north and we have long days, and then December 21st is when it's, if you go up to Canada, that's when the days get really short. It's during the winter solstice when the sun's way below the equator. And the solstice is derived from the Latin word sol, meaning sun, and sistere, meaning to stand still. The sun appears to stand still at those points before it reverses back north or south. And what's really wild is the reverse is true in the southern hemispheres. Winter is between June and August, and summer is between December and February. That's wild.
It is wild.
And I just saw a picture of Israel Adesanya on Twitter, you know, the champ.
Uh-huh.
He said summer's about to be legit or whatever, and he's sitting in his hot tub in New Zealand sipping on something half naked because it's the summer there. I was like, holy shit, this is,
and we're gearing up for, yeah, you never realized that?
No. Like that's wild. That's wild, man.
One of those things like how old were you when you learned that in the southern hemisphere they're in a different season than you are?
I was 31. I was 31.
But yeah, very interesting stuff.
So I will take my screen sharing away, and we can get back into Robert Grant Halliburton.
R.G. Halliburton. So yeah, he basically decided to do this paper. He found that there were these coincidences, and he says the coincidences that let's see where I left off. Oh yeah, I was saying a new and startling fact was discovered when he read over the paper. It was singular that the Festival of the Dead amongst the ancient Peruvians was celebrated on the same day as by the Spaniards, these on All Saints' Day, November 2nd. I had also considered this merely as a curious coincidence, but it was generally observed in November south as well as north of the equator, a fact so remarkable that it was evident that whatever could be the cause, it must be something hitherto unknown. So that the last part is the important part. Like, why were these cultures that were in both north of the equator and south of the equator, as what you were just talking about, how we're in a completely different seasons? Why are they celebrating and recognizing this one time of the year every year?
And what's more interesting,
Because, like, if it were just strictly around like an agricultural thing, like, hey, you know, as we celebrated up here, I guess, you know, representing the harvest versus down there would be, I guess, you getting to spring, right? So,
yeah, it would be the opposite.
right, it'd be
So it would make sense.
Exactly. So,
And all
so
these cultures, have different calendars, like the solar calendar, or they do this calendar and it's divided this way. Like the Hindus, they celebrate Pitri Paksha, and they also consider it a fortnight of ancestors. And they use the lunar calendar. So theirs is like the 15 days end of September, which is still in the time frame of this heliacal rising of what we'll get to. The Pacific Islanders are another culture. Tonga Islands, the Australians, Peruvians, we talked about that. The ancient Egyptians.
Mm-hmm.
Ancient Egyptians, their month of November was called Athor. And I have a little bit on that. Can I share that?
Yeah, so exactly. I'll just read you the quote from the Festival of the Dead, just related to what you're talking about, right? So he says that, so this is now or was formerly observed at or near the beginning of November by the Peruvians, the Hindus, the Pacific Islanders, the people of the Tonga Islands, the Australians, the ancient Peruvians, the ancient Egyptians, and northern nations of Europe, and continued for 3 days among the Japanese, the Hindus, the Australians, the ancient Romans, and the ancient Egyptians. So we have all these cultures all around the world, all celebrating this 3 day span of time.
Yes. You got the Japanese Buddhist festival, which is in July or August, the Bon, also called the Bon Festival, and that's one of their celebrations. July or August connects with this stuff as well, that date. Fucking the Chinese Buddhist festival called the Ghost Festival or Hungry Ghost Festival, 7th month of the lunar calendar, 15th day, falls during harvest and full moon. And scholars, they don't like this whole theory because it implies diffusionism, which is they all came from one and migrated.
It's too suggestive of a lost civilization.
Yeah,
So they greatly dislike that.
Let me screen share this. Can you see my stuff yet?
No.
Okay.
Now I can.
So, Scorpio sky map. So there's Scorpio. But at this time of year, god damn it, would you just fucking drag and make bigger? Motherfucker. Okay. So at this time of year, god damn it, look at that. You got to keep that window up, son of a bitch. Okay. Yeah, so at that time of year, what is it? The sun is transiting Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
October 23rd to November 22nd. Scorpio. Scorpio represents death, the time of harvest and dying of the plant kingdom, death symbology. So that's what's happening at this time. And what I really wanted to show was the stuff about, can we trace between the names of the month? Oh yeah, the names of the month, Egypt, Peru, Persia, and India's calendars are similar meanings. They imply Pleiades, the constellation, or the festival of the dead. I don't think Scorpio has too much to do with everything. But while we're talking about the Egyptian is what I want to get to. It's just I have those notes in between, so I'm confused if I should talk about that. But the Egyptian month of November is called Athor. Let me see where that note is. I think I lost it. Okay, in Hebrew, the Pleiades constellation is called Athor A, which I have here. The Pleiades is in the bull. And this might be a better picture. This is from the Earth. The midnight sky on Halloween's facing Pleiades. So
and specifically, it's the shoulder of the bull.
Yeah, the shoulder of the bull. So Pleiades is called Athor A in Hebrew. In Egyptian, the month of November is called Athor. And Arabian called Pleiades Autoria. And Autoria relates to Taurus, the bull, who, according to classical astrology, the bull's shoulder occupied by Pleiades. So we know that. But Athor also can mean Hathor, which is an Egyptian goddess. And it's like, you might think, okay, well, it has nothing to do with it. But then you start looking, or for me at least, start looking into Hathor and how it still kind of comes back a little bit. This is Hathor. And a lot of people, for the listeners, it's the Egyptian woman with the bull horns on her head and the sun in the middle. She is a sky deity, a consort or mother to Horus, who is depicted as a falcon, same thing. And the sun god Ra, they're both the same. See, look right here, you got the bull, you got the bull statue. This is a picture for the listeners of an actual statue of a bull with that sun in between his horns, like an Egyptian relic. And then to the side of it, it looks like Hathor with the horns and the sun in the middle. So all this is the bull symbology, it seems like. And the Egyptians got their stuff from Sumeria, which is the oldest. So I think the Sumerians, just for me, might have been the ones who actually repopulated after the Great Deluge. So Horus and Ra are the same person. They are earthly representatives. Like a pharaoh is an earthly representative of the, how to say that. Let me just continue. Horus had a counterpart called the Eye of Ra, and it was represented by the disk of the sun, of which he was in control over. The Eye of Ra is a feminine counterpart to him, and Hathor is one of several gods that represent that feminine counterpart. So Hathor is, I guess, the representation of his magic spiritual side, that thing he controls, the sun, whatever, his special power. So Hathor represented love, sexuality, maternal care, joy, dance, music, and on the other hand, served as Horus or Ra's vengeful nature, which protected him from his enemies. She had a dual function, which was basically the Egyptian perspective on femininity, the cross between worlds, helping dead souls transition into the afterlife. And that's what Halloween is. Well, one, you got the sun and you got the bull, which is Taurus. The shoulder of the bull is where Pleiades is, and we'll get into that. And then you also got dead souls transitioning into the afterlife, which Halloween is the Day of the Dead, or the Festival of the Dead, where the souls come back to Earth. How is it worded? I forget how it's.
Heavens.
Yeah, from the heavens, they come back to Earth, and they're sent back to the journey of the souls. But it's basically where the souls come back to Earth. So just a little dig into fucking Egypt and Athor and Hathor and all of that fun stuff. Yeah. I thought that was super interesting because I whenever it said Athor could also be Hathor, I was like, okay, well, here's the devil's advocate that's going to prove all this wrong. And when I was reading about it, I was like, dude, this is just littered with the same kind of symbology.
Confirming it for you.
Yeah, and you don't have to be an expert. You just have to like read it and
just go put the pieces together.
Yeah.
That's it. You just got to put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
So RG, so we have, let me see where I left off. We got Halliburton that he basically learned that the traditions were related to agriculture and death for cultures all over the world that took place in the time frame. just to go through some of those, right? So he learned in Persia there was a festival of agriculture and death that in the ancient Persian calendar, the month of this festival, November, was consecrated to the presiding angel of agriculture and death. He learned that in Peru, the month corresponding to November was the month of carried corpses. And in both cases, he remarked that the festival commenced in the evening with a Halloween, which was regarded as peculiarly sacred, strangely sacred. He learned that Ceylon, a festival, was held honoring the harvest home and was a commemoration of the dead, and that it took place in the beginning of November. So he basically realized that all over the world, both hemispheres, cultures from ancient times, all observed this time period. From the period beginning on October 23rd to November 22nd, as you mentioned, the sun is transitioning through the signs of Scorpio, which is associated with death.
Yeah.
In the northern temperate latitudes, it is this sign in which harvest occurs, and the death or dormancy of the plant kingdom comes to pass. So to clarify this symbolic meaning, we must turn to the realm of astrology, and that's what he did. And then to quote him, how then could this result have been produced? It was apparent the festival must have been regulated by some visible sign or mark that nature had supplied, such as the rising of some constellation. And when he looked at ancient calendar, as you mentioned earlier, he studied the ancient races in Persia, India, Egypt, and Peru, and found that the month in which the first November festival would fall bears its very name, a singular impress of its former connection, either with the Pleiades or the Festival of the Dead. And we just went through how, with the Egyptian calendar of Athor, so I won't go over that part again with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So the connection, the common element linking diverse cultures all around the world through observance of festivals was concealed in the language itself. The link between the name for the Pleiades and the month of November. All right. And he goes through more about how linguistically Athor and Hathor, how it all relates to Taurus, the celestial bull. Let's see. Through a study of the ancient calendars and the etymology of Egyptian and Chaldean, Hebrew, and Arabic names for the month of November, he understood that the constellation in question was Pleiades, which is known as, in the classical world, as the Seven Sisters, around which there was a rich mythology.
Yes, I looked into that.
Pleiades is not a constellation. It's just a part of Taurus the bull, as we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's a young star cluster about 444 light years from Earth.
Yeah, the 444 light years. That's a long way, man. Can you imagine traveling at the speed of light for 444 years and you finally get there?
444 light years.
Yeah, traveling at the speed of light for 444 years.
Yeah, that's a fucking, yeah.
That's insane. But Pleiades in ancient Greek, now this is what I found on Wikipedia. I always,
a grain of salt.
I just always find it interesting whenever there's this really deep, rich history, but you go on like Skull and Bones on Wikipedia. It's like, no, it was just a dispute between frat parties. That's it.
Yeah.
And this Pleiades, why would you expect it to talk about Halloween and all this stuff? But it does say probably is derived from Plein, Plein, meaning to sail, assuming to mark the beginning of sailing season in the Mediterranean Sea. Season of sailing began with the heliacal rise of it. So I guess sailing was better when it was cold as fuck on the ocean. But in mythology,
or warm as fuck if you're in the southern hemisphere.
Dude, you're totally right. Holy frick. See, I forgot about that. But I have a little picture to share just so people can see. And I already showed it, but we're going to talk about the Seven Sisters. So, but the mythology on the Seven Sisters, as you can see them here, that's exactly what girls do today. If there's 7 sisters, they're all out there dancing and voting for Joe Biden. No, I'm just joking.
With their tits out.
Yeah, with their tits out. Actually, if it was today, that their dresses would be wet, and there would be a crowd around them throwing ones, and it would be a wet T-shirt contest because we're corrupt. But the 7 sisters were named Pleiades after their mother Pleione. She married the Titan Atlas and gave birth to Hyades, Hyas, and Pleiades. She is also the protectress of sailing, so there's some truth there with the sailing.
Mm-hmm.
Among her grandchildren was Hermes. Hermes is the guy. Hermes is the guy. He's equivalent to Thoth. You know Thoth?
No.
The emerald tablets of Thoth and the tombs of Thoth. In the deep Egyptological world, Thoth built the pyramids. He's the original guy that came and gave us everything. He's the guy that started it all.
The bringer of science and civilization.
Yes, and Hermes is the archetype of Thoth. And Hermes is like halfway. Some people think he was real. Some people think he wasn't. Because I think, and I'm trying to recall information that I didn't really have stored in my brain anyway, but I think, fact check me on this, but I think Hermes predates Solon, who gave the Egyptian information about the Great Flood to Plato and all the information on Atlantis that he wrote about in Timaeus and Critias. So I think Hermes is like the guy. So I thought it was very interesting that Pleiades in Greek mythology, her mother, Pleiades, gave birth to Hermes. I just thought that was very interesting. Unexpected connections. It makes me wonder, like, what is the big picture here with Greek mythology and why everything connects to itself, especially when you're coming back from the Great Deluge, the Great Flood, the Great Catastrophe.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, it's just everything connects, and I don't expect it to connect when I'm looking at this stuff. Yeah, continue where you were.
Yeah, that was good, man. I don't know where I was. So he's asking, like, what does this have to do with specifically Halloween or Festival of the Dead, this Pleiades relation? And then what was the connection between the Great Deluge tradition and Pleiades? So you had this guy named Stansbury Hagar, who in the year who helped provide an answer in the year 1931. He basically gave a contribution to the journal Popular Astronomy for August-September and discussed the traditions from pre-Columbian Mexico.
Yes.
Recently come to the attention of the academic world. So, and to quote what he discussed in this journal, before the arrival of the first Spaniards in Mexico over 400 years ago, and probably much earlier, the Mexicans told of certain stars before, I don't know how to say this, Zontemoc, or falling hairs, which fell from heaven to earth with the Lord of the Dead. Their fall was commemorated annually in the Quecholli festival, said to have been held towards the end of October. This festival and the falling of the stars was associated with the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if you have listened to the past 4 episodes and this one, now you probably already put the pieces together and figured out like where we're going towards the end of this episode with the tradition and all these cultures recognizing Halloween, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is becoming more and more obvious as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
Randall, mentions the great Tunguska cosmic event of 1908.
Oh wait! Let's not get there yet. I have some stuff on that.
I was gonna actually ask you to go deeper into that.
Yes, I did. And I went deeper into Quecholli festival because Quecholli is a guy.
All right, so let's hear the Quecholli festival. Go deep on the Quecholli festival.
So I'm going to screen share again. Quecholli. Okay. Quecholli. I'm going to bring up Quecholli here. Can you see that?
I can see it. All right, what's up with Quecholli?
Yeah, so that's Quecholli, the guy with the bone in his nose.
Yeah.
So anytime you see the
It looks like he's
tribal,
holding a ball sack. No, I'm
I
joking.
was, dude, I was thinking that last
It
night.
looks like a saggy set of nuts that he has his hand. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking this picture was taken right after his divorce because he got his balls back from his wife's purse in the settlement. So Quecholli. I'm trying to say it with the Mexican accent. Quecholli. It's more Italian.
Yeah, that was definitely more down.
But
It's
where's his
totally.
name? Quecholli. The principal deity of Quecholli is Mixcoatl. So I guess he represents Mixcoatl. One of many so the 14th month of the Aztec calendar is also Mixcoatl. So Mixtil is cloud and Coatl is serpent. So he is the cloud serpent, the god of hunt, represented by the Milky Way, the stars in the heavens in several
So
Mesoamerican cultures.
I just don't want to lose this thought. So if you remember from last episode, actually, we talked about these serpent mounds that these ancient cultures built, and all these references to serpents and snakes, and we discussed how that represented comets.
Mm. Mm.
So we once again have this. Maybe it's coincidence, but another culture referencing some type of cloud serpent, which to me would probably be indicative that they're talking about a comet.
Yeah, I was feeling like there was a really deeper connection with Cloud Serpent because the sky, the serpent. But I'm really glad you tagged back to that because I didn't remember that. Just gonna load up this web page because I'm gonna need that. Very interesting, right there. Okay.
All right, tell us more about
Yes.
what's his name? Quecholli.
Or
Quecholli.
well, it's really about Mixcoatl because he represents Mixcoatl, and Mixcoatl was seen as the red aspect of Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, the god of sorcerers, rulers, and warriors. In one myth, Tezcatlipoca transformed himself into Mixcoatl and invented a fire drill by revolving the heavens around the axis, bringing fire down to earth. Mixcoatl was the first to strike fire with flint. And I know I'm speculating here, but it's another image of fire raining down to earth.
Well,
Comets.
yeah, that's what they say the Quecholli festival is about. It's the falling of the stars,
Yeah.
and it was associated with the end of the world.
Well, that's the Quecholli festival, but who Quecholli represents Mixcoatl,
Mixcoatl.
and
Yeah.
he is a red aspect of Tezcatlipoca. I mean, three mythological figures removed, and you still get the image of fire raining down the heavens. So it's not like an isolated thing someone made up about Quecholli because this or that. It's like you follow it down the mythological rabbit hole, and it's the same thing about fire raining down from heaven. It's like all the same imagery.
Yeah.
But it gets interesting because you said it was the Festival of the Dead was governed by the Lord of the Dead. Yeah, the Lord of the Dead governed the Festival of the Dead, which came before Quecholli, the period of time where the souls of the dead returned to earth from the land of the souls in the sky. So I think the Quecholli Festival is actually the period of time of Halloween where the souls of the dead are returning to earth from the land of souls in the sky. And there's like the time before it and the time after to celebrate. So in the Mexican Vaticanus 3773 on sheet 8 depicts the stars of falling hairs falling from the sky to earth, accompanied by many other stars, which are signified on the side by the star symbol. So I see bookmark. I got it. So the Mexican Vaticanus 3773 is also called the Codex Vaticanus B. It is an Aztec ritual or divinatory document. Divinatory. It's a member of the Borgia Group, a collection of pre-Columbian documents published in 1831. Because I was really curious about this 773 Vaticanus that showed this thing. Because I was like, I mean, I want to repeat this info, but like, what the fuck is this?
What the fuck? What the fuck is it?
So I just looked, and I can't believe I found it. I'll get to it in a second. collection of documents published in 1831. They were published by an Italian artist who made lithographed copies, originally called the Codex Borgia, as you can see here, and named the Borgia group after Cardinal Stephen Borgia, who then gave it to the Vatican Library. Manuscripts, they were manuscripts folded into 39 sheets on animal skin. I think the original ones or whatever. They were discovered in the region of Cholula and Puebla, Tlaxcala, Mexico. It is one of the largest codices from the Borgia group. Sanse Mote, November meteors. Yeah, the hair represented the trail left behind, the falling hair, the trail left behind the comets. And the Mexicans seem to differentiate between the meteor groups. The reference to the fall of Censored is on the day 1 eagle, which pertains to Taurus, and would follow that they are referring to the Taurid meteor stream. The end of the world is associated with one of the most prominent meteor showers. So that's a little dig into Quecholli, but I got the pictures here. These are pictures from that actual Vaticanus 377b. These are the stuff they have. And I actually found...
So I see you have the birds in the corner. I'm just looking at it just to see symbolism. I'm not an expert on this stuff, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to read this stuff. It looks like nothing when you're looking at it, but... And I got more of the Codex display. This is them in the museum.
That's actually them.
It's either them or the copies that the Italian artist made.
The lithograph, yeah.
Codex 2, here's another one. And they're read top to bottom, right to left. And this is Vaticanus B, the one they were referring to.
Is that?
It looks like dominoes right here, and that looks like candy wrappers from a festival.
I know. I'm looking at the man-animal thing going on in the middle right there.
Yeah.
It looks like he has a Pokemon ball on his belt.
Oh, Pokemon. It does. Oh my God, dude. That is a Pokemon ball. I didn't even notice that. That's it, man. That's what they look like.
We've solved it, folks.
Dude, no, man. We may have, because propaganda. You know what I'm saying? They take this and they make a cartoon out of it. That way, people, when they look into it,
if you
tell them about it.
If you look at this picture, though, it could be a Pokemon.
Dude, it looks like he
has a Pokemon animal he's threw his Pokemon out. He has another Pokemon on his belt.
We're about to do a long series on Pokemon, dude.
He's fucking ready to rock.
We're about to dig in. That's insane. So, but check it out, man. If you go to Wikipedia, and I know Wikipedia is Wikipedia, and you look up Codex Borgia, look what I have here, dude. All of them right here. All the way up to page 6. Look at this crap. You can look at all of this crap.
So you found sheet 8?
Dude, all of them. There's page 1.
What he was talking about on sheet 8.
Yeah, we'll get to sheet 8. 2, 3, 4. It's just like a grid, lines and squares with pictures in each of them. 5. I mean, how do you read this? 6. And here's sheet 8. And I don't know if this...
I see a serpent right there in the middle.
Right here? The infinity serpent right here. Now, if this is sheet 8, Vaticanus 3773, I don't know how it depicts stars falling from the sky, because it doesn't look like that. It's not like a picture of stars falling from the sky.
Yeah, I don't... Is it you sure this is the right one we're looking at, though?
All I can do is...
Google.
I mean, it's Codex Borgia is an Aztec ritual and divinatory manuscript, handful of codices. So this is it, description, history, and the contents, 1 through 8, and it said sheet 8. So this must be sheet, because it's pretty linear. It's just sheets 1 through 76. So, I mean, I guess if you really dig into how they interpret this and the language and all the epistemology and yada, yada, yada. then it'll start to make sense because I don't know what arrows is. I mean, are those even arrows right here?
I don't
This
know.
this looks like a character from Big Mouth. I mean, what is he doing here? He's holding a little red demon by the hair. But anyway, I just wanted to, it's really that
A PDF of like all of them from these various websites.
it's really cool artwork. I like the colors, the red and the yellow and the green. Look at this. You think this represents some kind of like exploding arrow? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what. It's so hard for me to make sense of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, that's a little dig into the Quecholli festival. And
Very interesting.
And what all that is about. I hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you for taking us through that, Dylan.
Hey, I do what I can. I quit college twice, but I'm still a
So get your astrological history from us.
Yeah, I decided that
Trust
college didn't teach me the things I wanted to know. So I went to YouTube and podcasts and discovered the truth there. Where were we with this?
Let's see. No, you kind of went through the next notes that I had already.
Oh, I think we're about to get into the good stuff where we can actually show. And I have the pictures for that.
All right, so astronomers recognize multiple meteor streams that cross the path of the Earth throughout the course of her yearly circuit about the Sun. These meteors are the remnants of comets that have orbited within the inner solar system and have decayed over time. And so what they do is they strew debris in their orbital path that's formed by their progressive disintegration. When Earth passes through one of these streams, the result is a meteor shower, whose elliptical trackway takes the stream around the Sun and typically out beyond the orbit of Jupiter and back again. Many meteor streams still have their associated comet within the orbital pathway. So if you're an observer and you're looking in the direction of an approaching stream, that is, if you're looking upstream, you're going to notice that the stream seems to emanate from a particular point in space. They call this point in space the radiant because all of the approaching meteors give the impression of radiating from that one point in space. The paths of the individual meteors are actually parallel, and the appearance of radiating from a single point is really just an illusion of perspective. Just much like you would have like parallel rails on a railroad track that look like they're converging in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they take the way they get the names of these particular meteor streams is they derive them from the constellation from which the radiant point is located. So, for example, we have the Leonids, which are named for the constellation Leo. Mm-hmm. As the star grouping from which the stream appears to emanate. The Geminids are named for the constellation Gemini, and so on and so forth.
Perseids.
So, yep.
The comet Halley, the most famous one, is a part of the Eta Aquarids. But Comet Halley, over the last couple hundred years, has gotten far enough away from the meteor stream that it doesn't actually have any physical connection to the meteor stream anymore. They're not following each other like most of them. And that one is named Eta Aquarids. Comet Swift-Tuttle is with the Perseids. Comet Halley is with Eta Aquarids. But they're visible from April 19th to May 28th. They get their name because the radiant appears to come from Aquarius near one of its brightest stars, Eta Aquarii.
So they just base the names off of the radiance, like where they come from, like the closest star system that they can associate it with, basically.
Yeah.
So then we have the Taurid meteor stream, which the Earth crosses twice a year, is named for the constellation Taurus, the celestial bull. So this should all start to begin to make sense to you folks at this point.
You folks.
The radiant point of the November Taurids is almost directly juxtaposed upon Pleiades, almost like a bullseye. creating the illusion that the Taurid meteor stream is emanating from the shoulder of the bull right there. And in this event, when the meteors of the Taurid stream intersect with the path of Earth, this occurs in late October, early November, just at the time when Pleiades are standing prominently overhead. So what do astronomers know about the Taurid meteor stream? He gets into this a little bit. Is it possible for? Oh, he's just asking questions right here, so I'll skip that. He's basically posing the question: is it possible that the debris from this meteor stream could have been a cosmic event that instigated a lot of human death that would cause us to want to commemorate the dead with all these traditions throughout the world?
Mm-hmm.
So, having studied Halliburton goes on to say, having studied meteorite. Oh, I'm sorry, this is Randall quoting this. Having studied meteorite and impact phenomena for a number of decades now, my impression is that the frequency of major impact events on the scale of Tunguska and larger has, with some exceptions, been grossly underestimated by most of the scientific community.
Yeah, the Tunguska
So like Randall's
event
like
is
the
crazy.
one guy that's out there that's like, hey, we should probably pay attention to this. Hey, we should probably look up and realize that we can get hit by a fucking hit by one of these things at any point in time if we're not looking in the right direction.
Twice a year.
Yes.
Yeah, and here's that picture of the radiant, just an illustration of the radiant. You see these do you see that, Jesse? Is it screen sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's Taurus, and the meteors from the Taurid meteor stream would be these bright lines coming straight at us. So at one point of the year, you can't see them because the sun is there. And at this point of the year in Halloween, the sun is on the opposite side. So for reference, if you walk outside and face south.
Oh, I'm going to share my screen so you can see something.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to just share my notes. Or let me just share my whole screen.
Oh, my screen sharing wasn't sharing. I didn't click the second button.
It's all good. You see mine?
Yeah, I see that.
So this gives you kind of an idea of how the Taurid where and when we pass the Taurid meteor stream in our orbit around the sun. So we have Earth on this blue circle right here.
Yes.
And as you can see, we pass the Taurid meteor stream in June, right? Which lines up with the Tunguska event happened on June 30th, 1908. In this time period, as you were just mentioning, we would not have been able to really see the meteor stream because of the position of Earth at that time, and we'd be facing towards the sun.
Yeah, and if you take notice right there, if you're on the Earth, the comet would be coming in from the left of the sun, and the sun would be rising in the east, so it would be coming in from what is that, northeast? Like it would be coming in north, from the north. And I have a video that I'll show, and that's exactly the angle it comes in from is from the north. From what it looks like, we can check it out. But
and then we have on the opposite side of the Taurid meteor stream orbit, we have September 10th and November 20th is when we would see the northern Taurids.
Yeah.
So just so you get an idea of what we're talking about when we talk about the Taurid meteor stream.
Twice a year it's passing through.
All right. Sorry. I know you want to share, so I'll let you share.
Yeah, I want to share, bro.
Go, bro.
Let me share, bro. So this picture is a good illustration of at midnight on Halloween, this is when the Pleiades starts to rise and it comes into view again, because it's not for the rest of the year. It's just this portion of the year it rises over the heliacal rising is what it's called. So at midnight at Halloween, if you face south from a mid-latitude in the northern hemisphere, you'll see it rising, and it rises in the east while the sun sets in the west. Mm-hmm. So that's the that's the marker that the ancient cultures used, was when Pleiades would rise as the sun is setting, then they're entering in this time where they would start to celebrate and commemorate what apparently was the Taurid meteor stream destroying civilization, and which is why we celebrate the dead at
Or
this
so
time.
we think.
Seems pretty likely.
Yeah. Seems very likely.
And the Tunguska event, you want me to share that
Yeah,
picture?
so if you want to go deep into that.
Yeah, let me cue it up. Tunguska event was insane. It was,
Happened, it's not that long ago.
what was it, 1908
1908.
in Russia?
Mm-hmm.
Look how slow my computer is when I do this.
No.
The
It's,
Shabalinks.
where that hit in the Tunguska event, we got lucky as a species with where that.
This video here is the one in 2015 that hit Russia, or 2013. But the Tunguska event, I mixed them up. I have those pictures here. Oh, we got to show that dead comet. Did you see that picture? That was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Tunguska right here. So Tunguska is located in Russia. I love how my wife, it's like dead winter, and she goes outside and leaves the door open, and it's cold as fuck right now.
It is 81 degrees outside where I'm at.
Let me see what it is here. We just had an insane cold front. It's 46. It's 30 degrees. Hey, babe. 45 degrees. I didn't even have to say. She knew my heart. Yeah, so Tunguska is right here in Russia.
Mm-hmm. So tell them what happened at the Tunguska event.
Yeah, I want to get that picture up. It basically wiped out all this shit. Find my notes. Tunguska. It occurred near the Podkamanaya Tunguska River in Yeniseisk Governorate in Russia on the morning of June 30th, 1908. A meteor basically came in and exploded. It never exploded, and an estimated 80 million trees were flattened.
That's
over
so
like
insane.
2,150. These are the best pictures I could find. This was over 2,150 square kilometers. And Russian settlers in the northwest hills of Lake Baikal saw a bright blue light the size of the sun move across the sky. An eyewitness close to the explosion reported hearing the noise go from east to north. So I guess that lines up with where the Taurids would have been.
And
10 minutes
later, there was a flash.
Yeah, 10 minutes later, a flash and an explosion like artillery fire. There came a shockwave that knocked people off their feet and broke windows hundreds of kilometers away. Airwaves from the blast were detected in Germany, Denmark, Croatia, and in the UK. They estimate an equivalent of a 5.0 magnitude earthquake over Russia. And it didn't even hit the earth, dude. It exploded in the sky.
That is so insane.
Yeah, and it was June 30th, which is around the time the Taurid starts coming in. Some cultures celebrate it in June and August. Not really when it comes in, but still, just this is a good example of what a meteor can do.
Yeah, and that's. I was reading some other.
Just to get a
talking about how, like, if that Tunguska event had hit like a polar ice cap or something, like that would have severely fucked up civilization.
Oh,
and
yeah,
probably set us back a little bit.
Yeah, if it would have hit the polar ice caps not far away, if it would have hit the city, if it would have hit the ocean not far away.
We got lucky it happened in the middle of Siberia.
What was Randall saying in that article? The guy he was talking to was doing the odds on this comet.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was like for it to not hit anything, and the land mass on Earth and the water on Earth and what percentage is populated by people and land, and it was like a 1 in 20 or a less than 5% chance that it actually lands and doesn't hurt anything. And I think that guy was getting at aliens, guiding it so it doesn't hurt anybody. But it's still the odds of it landing here where it didn't hurt anybody, and it was so close to the ice caps in this ship. But Denmark, Poland, where Germany is over here. Look, what was it? Largest.
You're basically saying they felt it all the way in Germany?
Yeah, I'm trying to find that note. It was just fucking right here.
It's at the bottom. Airwaves from the blast were detected in Germany, Denmark, Croatia, and the UK.
Yeah, so Germany is way over here. Look how far that is, dude. Airwaves from the blast were detected in Germany. Dude.
We're just lucky to be alive.
Dude, that is insane. And then you have the Chelyabinsk meteor, which hit in Russia.
That's the one from 2015?
Yeah, February 15th, 2013. It was a 20-meter asteroid, about 20 kilometers per second is how it was traveling. And you can see in this video right here. I will play it. This guy's driving. There's no sound. There's no sound.
Right, everyone in Russia has dash cams.
So the sun's rising in the east, right? So north would be to the left this way, right? And at this time of year, I guess, February, see it? Look at that thing, dude. Fucking look at that thing. Can you imagine a whole stream of them just destroying see, it burns out right here. So it never hit, but if it came in right here, it was estimated it would have destroyed this whole city. It just never hit the ground.
Bruh. That's a little baby one, too.
I know, man. Dude, what the fuck? That is insane. That is
we are literally living in a shooting gallery.
Yeah, man. And I have something on a Nebra sky disk.
Okay.
Nebra.
We're getting close to the end of this the article, so yeah.
Yeah. I just want to wrap up on this stuff. So, the Nebra sky disk was found with swords, hatchets. Here it is. I don't have much on it, but it's an interesting piece. Oldest concrete depiction of the cosmos anywhere. In June 2013, it was put in UNESCO Memory of the World Register entitled Most Important Archaeological Discovery of the 20th Century. So you got what they think is either a full moon or a sun, and then this half moon. And then you got 7 stars they think would be Pleiades.
Oh.
Yeah, and then later this arc right here was added, and they think it means the 2 measurements of in between the solstices. Like this happened in between the equinox and the solstice. And then a third thing happened later where they added this, which they think either represents the Milky Way or a rainbow. Probably the Milky Way, because it's kind of consistent with everything that is depicted by, what was that, a Tazkletlapoka, that Quecholli, he represented the Milky Way. So this was found with these. And these are carbon dated. These hatchets and spiral bracelets are carbon dated to the Bronze Age. Oops, there's to the Bronze Age. So they think this is Bronze Age, but then someone else came out and said, no, it's probably after in the Iron Age, which makes it even younger.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? The Nebra sky disk is just another little piece that was somewhere in there that I found buried with these swords. I'd like to hang that on my wall and make a clock out of it.
Sure, I'm sure they'd let you.
Or make it like a
considering it's in some where is it at?
This?
It was put at the
UNESCO Memory of the World Register. Yeah, I think this was...
Seems important. Yeah.
It was discovered in Germany, Saxon, someplace in Germany. They discovered it in the dirt. So they don't really know where it came from, if it was buried with the swords and stuff, or if it was after, or what. But it's a cool little Cool little fun fact. This is really mind blowing to me. The bull in the sun, and then Hathor with the thing in the sun. Yeah. The Great Deluge was celebrated by the Aztecs, Egyptians, and the Jews at the same time of year when the Pleiades rose at midnight. That's basically what all this comes down to, the celebration when the Pleiades rose, and all these cultures are talking about things coming from the sky and destroying everything. There's Japan, one of their things was where they actually cook. I want to make sure. Oh, yeah, look.
Oh yeah, this was at the end of the second part of the article. He talks.
Oh, we
about
didn't get
this.
there yet.
Okay, no, we did. We already passed it up.
Okay.
We're basically at the end of the article.
Yeah. So this is. I have a note on this here. Let me go back down to it. Thank you to the listeners for hanging with us. This is very fun. It's like playing a music show. It's very fun, but the audience might actually hate it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. But it is
really,
what it is. Like, we're learning as we're going along, just talking about the shit that we find interesting, and hopefully you find it interesting too, which is why you're listening to it. So, we're not scholars, like I mentioned earlier, on this shit. We're literally just talking about it because we're interested in it. So it's okay. Give us time to go through our notes.
I kind of am a scholar.
I
did go to college twice. I quit both times, but it's like I said, it's because I just needed a bigger challenge.
So he's the scholar, and I even mentioned at the beginning, first episode of this podcast, that it was going to be you teaching me about all this shit in the first place.
Yeah, well, that's what needs to happen. Is people just need to let me teach them. Everybody needs to let me teach them because
he's the true scholar on all of this.
Yes, thank you, Jesse. So this was October 31st in 2015. This here comet, you'll notice it looks like a skull. It's just creepy odds. It's just interesting.
Yeah, pretty creepy.
Object 2015 TB145 had not yet been discovered. Passed close outside the orbit of the moon. 1,300 feet in diameter, nearly 70 times greater in size than the Tunguska event of 1908. 70 times greater, and it passed by the moon on Halloween. 50. It's equivalent to 50 and 100 tons of the largest hydrogen bombs ever tested by the U.S. at once, exploding at once. 10,000 square miles of land would have been annihilated, and an estimated tens of millions of deaths. That's this
so
thing.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's just creepy. That skull-looking comet passed right by. It's like, hey, what's up, motherfuckers? You remember me? And then he's gone.
I mean, so you were talking about like the Tunguska event, right? And how lucky we are that it hit where it hit. So it did, and I'll read a little bit from the article. So
I have this picture of the very end of the article. Just for when we get there, I'll leave it up. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. It was amazing how, on one hand, it did enormous damage, for it fell in a forest and knocked down every tree for scores of miles in every direction. On the other hand, it did very little damage, for it killed not one human being. Consider how unusual that had to be. He discusses how some 70% of the Earth's surface is water and would not have preserved evidence of the event, but possibly could have triggered a destructive tsunami. And then he further points out that some 15% of the land surface of the globe is occupied by humans and the products of our civilization, and that it could have caused devastation that was considerable had it exploded over any of that area. Another 10% of the planet is covered by ice, and had the explosion occurred over the great glaciers of Greenland or Antarctica, there would have been some major melting and seismic fracturing of the ice, leading to regionally catastrophic consequences. Had the event occurred only somewhat farther north than it did, it would have been over permafrost, and there would have been no forest blowdown for scientists to study. So perhaps not more than 5% of the surface of the Earth could have received that 1908 blow without any damage at all being done to human life and property. And with the odds 20-1 against it, that fall took place safely from the human standpoint. By the same token, though, the place in which the fall occurred was inaccessible, and it was years before the vicinity could be examined. And it was only then that the real mystery began, considering that the fall managed to find a 1 in 20 place where it would find no damage, almost as though someone was humanely trying to avoid. And then I think that's where he starts to kind of go into this train of thought where he's like, hey, maybe this was influenced somehow.
Yeah, that's
Aliens or whatever the fuck else. But the fact remains, the odds are very, very low that it hit somewhere where it would not have caused great damage to humankind.
yeah, and I put those pictures up again while you were talking about that. Just, it's hard to tell what this is, but it looks like a big field that was just fucking wiped out. And remember, this exploded in the air.
That's what's fucking crazy. Is that
It exploded in the air and it just flattened 80 million trees, man. What the fuck? Look at that. It just snapped all these trees and flattened them. Just they're all in the same direction too, you know? Because that's what happens. Like, can you imagine just 80 million square miles of trees in a big circle just flattened?
Bro, could you imagine being anywhere near that when that passed? Can you imagine being one of the people that got knocked off your feet by the explosion?
Dude.
And not knowing, like, what the fuck was that?
Dude, no, man, that's insane. I can't.
Think the world's ending. You would think the world was ending.
It damn near almost did. So, I guess to close it out right here, this is a tablet. Sir Austin Henry Layard of the 1850s. What was he doing? He was looking at a palace, the Palace of Nineveh, which is modern day Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And he discovered the 71 rooms and the Library of Ashurbanipal, 22,000 clay tablets in there. He discovered that. This is one of those tablets that appear to have astronomical markings and measurements on it. And right here, Alan Bond and Mark Hemschel at Bristol University used a computer program, probably Stellarium of some sort, to find the position of the stars at the time this would have been made, or, you know, whatever. And they find that it actually lined up with something. From what I understand, they believe it to be a star map at the time of 3123 BC, specifically June 29th. And apparently that's going to be Randall's next article, part 4, because he leaves it hanging right there of why June 29th is so important. So this clay tablet, they think, based off of lining it up with a sky map program, they were able to confirm that it is a depiction of the sky at 3123 BC, documenting a major impact that happened 5,000 years ago.
And that was used by the Sumerians, correct?
Yeah, these are the cuneiform tablets. This is a cuneiform. This is cuneiform. This is the cuneiform. And look how perfectly straight and accurate and clear. Like, I can't even write this good with an ink pen on paper. And these motherfuckers carved it like that on these clay. I don't know. They were on one, you know, as Drake would say. They were on one.
So, yeah, to sum it all up for us, Dylan.
Halloween is a celebration of, or a commemoration of the Great Deluge, when the Taurid meteor stream at this time of year, as the Pleiades rise above the eastern horizon, the Taurid meteor stream destroyed the Earth, caused the Great Flood, and everything was rebuilt and repopulated. The days October 31st, November 1st, November 2nd, days 1, 2, and 3 represent the catastrophe. Day 2 represents the survivors, and day 3 represents the repopulation. And when people are celebrating Halloween, it's actually a commemoration of the Great Flood, the great catastrophe that wiped out the Ice Age.
Yep. And, you know, we didn't really even talk much about the floods, but, you know, Randall talks about in this article, like, how do these traditions that honor the Great Flood, the Great Deluge around this time of the year relate to cosmic event? Well, guess what? The cosmic event would have caused the Great Floods, as we discussed earlier, if a comet hit one of the ice caps or somewhere where they had frosts, or if it hit the ocean you could expect massive amounts of flooding. So, yeah, we're in that time of the year right now. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Right here.
Um,
Right here.
yep, we're right there.
Dude, we're
Let's.
in the Taurid meteor stream right now.
Hey, and you know
It's
what?
out there.
You know what's crazy? Isn't there an asteroid that's supposed to be passing close by during, or like close to election day or the day after election day?
Oh shit.
I remember reading about that. So I wonder if that's part of the Taurid meteor stream or not. And it's 2020. Who knows? This shit might all get blown up, but we all might just end it all here Saturday and Sunday or Sunday.
Honestly,
Hit by an asteroid.
that would make a lot of sense to 2020. If that happened, I would actually be relieved, and I would think, okay, that.
Well, you wouldn't think shit. You'd be dead. But
Well, if I'm a survivor, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to go repopulate. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Dude, repopulating after a Halloween party. That's a fun Seth Rogen movie. The Halloween party and the Earth gets destroyed and you're a survivor and you're walking around in your costume with Hennessy, listening to Drake and repopulating the Earth.
And that's our pitch to the movie studios. Thanks for attending our talk today.
Yep.
That's fucking perfect.
Well, that was fun, man. I'm glad we could learn about Halloween together.
Yeah,
and
man. It's,
share it with our listeners.
And no, honestly, I never really knew that there was this type of significance around Halloween. So it was very educational for me to prepare and kind of learn about this stuff through the podcast. And I hope we'll open some people's eyes a little bit with that. So had fun.
Cool. Update. What's happening lately? My friends in Octopus Tree released a new single. It's on Bandcamp. Octopus Tree. Search that up. I'm about to drop a beat tape or an instrumental tape. I will let you know what it's going to be dropped under. It won't be my artist name or nothing. I'm going to pick something that people might search for so they listen to it. But I got that going on. What's up with my band Alfred and the Tednators? We're working on our record. Stay tuned. That's going to be awesome. Check out our last one. It's up called Shred City Bodega. It's on my website, dylancrozier.com. I got links to everything. Jesse, what's up with Golgothan? Y'all got anything?
We're still we're preparing our full length. We have lots and lots of songs for it. We're just kind of
How many?
Curating. I don't know. We have we're trying to narrow down. We're getting rid of some.
Okay.
We have, like, I don't know, 12, 13 songs, something like that, or more.
Nice.
We're going to pare those down a little bit, maybe borrow some parts from songs and put them together. And anyway, so we're in that part of that process. We still have a very active Twitch stream. You can catch us streaming 5 days a week on Twitch. So golgothan.tv on Twitch. Please go give us a like, go give us a follow. You'll get notified when we go live. If you want to follow along with me, my workouts are on Tuesdays. I work out as the Kettlebell Killer. Every Tuesday at 7 or 7:30. You can see me in full Golgothan garb. And
I should have watched it last night. I was off. I was doing research for this.
Get called a pussy and a bitch and all this other crazy shit. And yeah, just come do the workouts with me. Grab a dumbbell or a kettlebell and some beer, and we'll have some fun on Tuesdays.
Yeah, you guys definitely check out Golgothan. If anything, it's a Halloween themed band.
It is, and it's entertaining. Did you get a chance to watch the Natter Days commercial?
No.
You did not. Oh my God!
What commercial is that?
You just you have to go watch it. It's like a '90s beer commercial that features the Kettlebell Killer. You'll enjoy it.
Where is it at? I didn't.
It's on Facebook.
I don't have Facebook.
Or it's on Instagram as well. Let's see.
Okay, Golgothan.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Also, I just finished more tabs because I'm transposing the tabs from Tablet to Guitar Pro. I finished On Deaf Ears. I'm gonna be rolling through that. I got plans this year. Ford and I are getting a little travel trailer, and then we're gonna be saving money next year and getting a property, and then I'll be able to have my studio set up within the next year and a half. So, Death of Skepsis drum tracks and record recording coming. So you be ready. You be ready for that. Fans, be ready. And I was thinking, while we're here and talking about that, for shows, if you and me are tight and we know our stuff really good, then Steve-O and Neil can fall in place. You feel me?
Yeah.
Just for doing shows with us living far apart and maybe not being able to rehearse as much as we want. If you and me make sure that we're tight and we know it, we can carry it and everything else can just be a good time.
Yeah, and we play on a weekly basis at a minimum with our other bands too. So it's not like our chops are that rusty or anything like that. Not to say that Neil and Steve-O's chops will be rusty, but
well, I mean, they probably will, and my chops will probably be a little rusty, but I just mean remembering the parts.
I know what
when
you
you
mean.
go to play, it's like, oh, fuck, did we do this twice, or what's after this? If me and you know everything, boom, 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 Steve-O can fuck up and be like, oh, and come back in. But if you fuck up, and if I fuck up, we're fucked.
Yeah. We wouldn't, you and I would never get on stage like that together anyway, to the point where we didn't know our shit well enough to perform it.
Well, there's that show in November at the Music Box with Emir, or who is that? Gideon. I haven't heard anything, so I guess it's not happening anymore.
Yeah, I doubt it's pandemic still.
Alabama Music Box is doing shows.
That's crazy.
They're doing shows.
We haven't been able to do shows at all.
Son of a gun. This was a show they were supposed to be on, but they canceled. And I went to that show. And then they just played it the other night. And Alabama Music Box is always doing shows.
I wish we've got no shows in my area, I can tell you that. Otherwise we'd be playing live right now.
Really? No shows down there, huh? Damn.
No, not at all.
Okay, well.
All right. Good episode, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. We love y'all. And let us know, hit us up if you want us to do topics, or if you want to let us know that we suck and we're stupid and we got everything wrong. We'll read your letter we'll screen share it and put it on the screen.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we'll make you come on and you can do a better job, you fuck faces.
Interview some people and get some other people on here, just to switch it up. So if anybody out there has got something to share and you kind of know what you're talking about, preferably if you're a doctor or a PhD, that would be great. We want to punch up. We want people better than us on the show.
Please, because we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. We're just learning and discussing it with you.
Word. So yeah, we got Instagram, Illuminati Squatty Potty Podcast. We don't post a lot, but I share updates for new episodes. And Twitter, ISP Podcast. Follow us on there. If you like and review and comment on our podcast, it helps it for free. You don't have to buy nothing. It just puts us up in the algorithm. All right, man. Good episode. Fun talking to you.
Bye, everybody.
Peace, everybody.